Thank you very much for being on the programme today. You're, of course, here to talk about the Grenfell inquiry and what needs to happen now. Just before we get on to that, I would just like to get your reaction to the interview with Ron Dermer that we've heard this evening, the advisor to Benjamin Netanyahu. He's criticised Labour's decision for this partial arms embargo on Israel. He says it's a shameful decision to be made at a time when Israel's fighting a war. You'd ask yourself how the British people would feel if, when Churchill was leading Britain in its fight against the Nazis and Britain was standing largely alone, if all of a sudden there was an arms embargo from its great friend and ally. I don't know what your response is to that.
David Lammy, our Foreign Secretary, made the decision based on legal advice. We are committed to, and rightly so, observing international law and making sure that our arms exports are compliant with international law. And also, we desperately need and want a ceasefire. We need to see hostages released. And since Labour came into power, the Prime Minister, as well as the Foreign Secretary, have engaged with partners across the Middle East, including Israel, as well as the other countries that are critical to ending the bloodshed, ending this war, and, of course, partners in other countries, including the US. So Britain has got a very important role to play in, and that is what you're seeing. We need that international leadership role. We also need to see an end to this war, and we have consistently called for a ceasefire. And so, you know, that has got to be our focus, and we are absolutely committed to following international law.
I mean, you lost a lot of votes to pro-Gaza candidates at the election. I mean, you know about this in your own constituency. You run pretty close in Bethnal Green and Bow. Is this decision partly about listening to the message that some of those voters were trying to send to you?
The decision was based on legal advice, and we have legal commitments and obligations in relation to arms exports.
So you're not worried about Israel's response?
That is the basis on which decisions and time was taken to consider the advice. The last government announced the review. This government, under David Lammy, took the time to look at the legal advice, and it was based on that legal advice.
OK. I'm keen, of course, to talk about the Grenfell inquiry. The horrific tragedy that we saw, and now 7 years later, we have this inquiry. What's your reaction to the report?
Well, today is such an important day for, of course, the Grenfell survivors, the family members, and the wider community. And it's a really important day for our country because what happened, as Sir Martin said, was avoidable. And so it's a day where we need to make sure that we reflect as a country and we have the resolve together to make sure this never happens again.
I just want to ask you something, because I guess I kind of began the day thinking that it was an important day. But then listening to some of what the family members have said, they don't think it is an important day. Not all of them, at least. They think that this has actually just delayed justice, delayed criminal prosecutions, and has just taken 7 years to find out something that to them was blindingly obvious from the start. Is it an important day?
Well, first of all, it was very important that the Prime Minister responded and stated that on behalf of the British state, to apologise for what happened. And we accept that successive governments have failed. And we need to correct that.
Labour government, do you accept that?
Through the Sir Martin's report sets out, starts the reference to 1991 through to date. And it's really important that responsibility is taken and action is taken. And that's why the Prime Minister set out that we will respond to those recommendations within 6 months. And to your point about justice, absolutely, they correctly want to see justice. And we are absolutely committed to supporting the Metropolitan Police and the Crown Prosecution Service as they proceed with the work that is underway.
Everyone, as you say, everyone agrees that this must never happen again. That's got to be one of the really important things from today. And of course, you're the Building Safety Minister. It's a huge responsibility on your shoulders. Do you feel that responsibility? Is it something that keeps you up?
Yes, I do. And as an MP who represents a constituency and a borough with a very large number of buildings that have cladding, I have campaigned on these issues for many years, and I know how worrying it is for families, for individuals living in buildings that have cladding. And that's why it's a huge privilege for my party to be in government, for me to be in this position, to, I hope, be able to take the steps to make sure, with my colleagues in government, ensure that those buildings are remediated as quickly as possible, because it's not happening fast enough. The resource has been made available, over £5 billion. We need a step change and action taken by those who are responsible for remediation to do so. And I want to make sure that we take that action.
I'm interested a bit in what you're saying about the state of housing now, about the fear that some families feel, particularly in your own constituency as well. I know that I used to live in the constituency, actually, so I know it quite well. What is the state of housing like now for many people across the UK?
Well, we've made a commitment to building 1.5 million
But that's my question
homes.
is, what kind of thing are you seeing now with people's homes?
Well,
what are they living like?
It's you know that there are issues around the condition of homes, social housing in particular, but the repairs and maintenance, and also the supply of housing, of supported housing, which I'm also responsible for, housing for women fleeing domestic abuse, housing for those facing overcrowding, those with special needs. There's all sorts of areas where we need to make sure there are proper arrangements. And that's why the Labour Party, in our manifesto, set out our plans for house building. It's an ambitious plan, but it's needed. The younger generation are having trouble getting onto the property ladder. Supply is a big issue. And safety is a big issue, which is why the lessons that need to be learnt, we need to make sure that the future house building programme is fit for purpose and that they are safe and secure homes.
OK, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Good to have you on the show.